Hey, what's up, family? Hey, today I'm gonna do a little different type of video today, and this is gonna be dealing with sports, but not just any sports. That's why I'm gonna title it Olympics, Girls, and Disappointment. Because what I'm gonna be touching on is, although we like to see the Olympics and what great performance and high level of athletic ability that these girls are performing at in the Olympics, and even at your colleges and sometimes at the high schools, a lot of us have no idea as to the stress level and nonsense that these girls have to compete at. And a lot of times it just goes over our head because we have no clue.
But babe, I don't mean to interrupt you, but what made you really talk about this type of subject? What made you really make this
Good
video?
point. I'm glad you asked that. You know why? Because
Why?
it's like my last statement. A lot of us have no clue as to what they got to go through. And what I mean by that, could you imagine the average girl that's in the Olympics? Do you know how many times people out here that, you got some people that watch the Olympics year after year after year, and sometimes you get to a point where you say, whatever happened to such and such girl? I don't see her perform no more. Mm-hmm. She was still young, and she looked good last year. All of a sudden, you don't see him no more.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? But what we don't know, a lot of us out here, is that they tell some of these girls some of the most, what they like to say, the most innocuous excuses. And as always, I love to give y'all a word of the day. So innocuous just simply means not harmful, not offensive. But they think it's not offensive, but to the athlete, it's very offensive. And what they tell some of these girls is, look how offensive this may sound. Could you imagine telling a 17-year-old girl she aged out? Yeah, aged out. Telling a 17-year-old girl she aged out. What the heck you mean, aged out? You imagine this is the same girl is saying, wait a minute, what are you talking about? I've been training for this since I was 5 years old. Now you talking about I aged out? What do you mean I aged out? Well, you know, you got a little older. What do you mean older? I'm still a kid. And if it ain't that, now I'm just being honest here. We're being mature here, not trying to be all on the nonsense. A lot of times what they're not going to say is another innocuous thing, but it is harmful. But remember, innocuous means not harmful, not offensive. You imagine a lot of these girls get to the point where they start developing. You know, they start developing breasts. Because, you know, in the Olympics, they tape them down, all kind of nonsense they got to go through. They may get a little taller. They're not going to tell her in an offensive way. They're going to be very innocuous how they're going to say it. But the truth of the matter is, you got taller. You started developing. You put a little weight on. You see what I'm saying? And so, like, back to your question, you said, what made me want to do this video? Why? I got two girls. My two girls was very athletic.
Oh, okay.
You know what I'm saying? They didn't go to Olympics, but they were stars of their high school when they played. So me having two girls made me pay attention to a lot of girl stuff.
Well, that's a good point.
Yeah, and of course, I love to read, and I read all kind of stuff. And when you're reading, like as the figurative statement goes, it takes you deeper down the rabbit hole. For example, I remember I was just reading about menstrual cycles, you know, for females. And then I wound up coming across a drug called Librel. And who would have ever thought, me being a man, I didn't know nothing about this. Do you know some of these Olympic girls was taking drugs such as Librel? But they took that off the shelves. Now they got other generic drugs to compensate for that one, to fill in for that one, because they took it off the shelf. But you know what Librel does? It stops a girl from having her menstrual cycle. It's another form of OCP. OCP is just an abbreviated word, which means OCP is another word for meaning oral contraceptive. I'm sorry for the delay there. Oral contraceptive, OCP. It's just an abbreviated word for that. But Librel, it also helps girls to stop them from having their menstrual cycle. Me as a man, I would have never thought there's stuff out there for that. And think about it. You got girls in the Olympics that take stuff like that because why? They don't want to be on their menstrual cycle when they're training, performing, or just to be on the team. Because being on their menstrual cycle will affect their performance. You get what I'm saying? So that's what I mean by a lot of this stuff go over a lot of our heads. We have no clue as to the stress levels that some of them have to deal with. Now, could you imagine a young lady telling you she ain't had her period in a couple of months because she's on some type of medication so she won't get it? Could you imagine that? That's crazy. But as crazy as that sound, you got some of them that went a year or two no menstrual cycle. All because the Olympics has got them to the point where it's like, in order for me to train, compete, perform, be on this team, these are the things that I got to do. And that is amazing. And could you imagine sitting with a girl who is a great athlete telling her she aged out? 16, 17 years old, telling a girl she aged out. What do you mean aged out? This is still a child. But you know why they tell her she aged out? Here's the real innocuous thing that they say, that they think they're being innocuous about. Remember, innocuous means not harmful, not offensive. But it's very offensive what they're saying. Think about it. Could you imagine them telling a young girl, and a lot of them Olympic girls heard this, not only you aged out, and now they're trying to say it in a real nice way. What do you mean I aged out? Okay, how else can I put this? You grew up. You got taller. You put on a little bit of weight. You grew, your breasts started to show more. We can't tape you down the way we used to. Whatever the case, right? But you're telling someone that, and they still not understanding what do you mean? Because what they really want to say, they can't say. And you know what that is? Is that what the Olympics really want is these little, small, petite, skinny, pancake chest girls to be in the Olympics. They don't want to see a girl being a girl that's developing, totally natural. They don't want to see that, nor will they ever say that. But yet and still, you got a lot of these girls stressing out because they're doing everything to still be a part of the team and a part of the Olympics. And it's a damn shame you're stressing these girls out with that. And I'm going to reiterate again, why am I speaking on this? I have two girls. Not that they went through these type of things, but it did make me pay attention to a lot of female stuff and characteristics that females go through. It's like another one of my videos. It's called Fathers to Daughters. Go to my channel, Sphinx for Integrity, type in Fathers to Daughters. I was just showing a great appreciation to all you fathers that have daughters out there, like myself, because yeah, we wanted a son here and there, but yeah, you got beautiful daughters that's very talented. That's great too. But back to the topic. Like I said, could you imagine? These are the things that went over our heads, like girls using those certain prescription drugs like Librel, which it's a OCP, oral contraceptive, but it also stops a girl from having her menstrual. I didn't know it was stuff on the market like that.
Me as a female, I never knew that until you looked it up.
Yeah.
I was very speechless when you had brought that information.
And like I said, the rabbit hole, I just like to read. So that's why I'm doing this topic, because I got girls. But also, I was reading about menstrual cycle. When I was reading about menstrual cycle, I came across this drug called Librel, which is no longer on the market. Now they have generic things to fill in for that. I probably butchered this name. One of the generic ones is called Levan or Gestrol. I'm probably butchering the name. Levan or Gestrol, Ethion, Estradiol. I know I'm butchering the name, but just look it up. It's a rather long name. I think it's like LEVONORGESTREL. I'm sure most of y'all can't pronounce that. But like I said, I have daughters. I was looking up menstrual cycle, see, going down the rabbit hole. While I'm looking up that, next you know, I found out about Librel. When I found out about Librel, next you know, I found out about how Olympic girls was taking stuff like this, and other athletes, like I said, even in college or whatever, when they want to perform and don't have to deal with their menstrual, these are the things that they were taking. A lot of us, this goes right over our heads. We would never even think this is what they're doing. It's amazing. The level of things that people would do just to compete at a high level or a different performance level, you know what I'm saying? Or don't have to deal with their natural state of their makeup as a female, have to deal with those natural faculties that they normally have to deal with, you know what I'm saying? So as usual, I don't want to make this too long, the video. There's plenty of other things we could talk about, but what I would say in closing to a lot of you females out there, especially the ones that's in the Olympics, once they sit down with you and have that talk and tell you aged out, and they hit you with these innocuous conversations that's not supposed to be harmful, but they are harmful. Because how you gonna just tell, you're still a child, you're still a kid, a young teenager. You probably hit your prime at 17, 18, and they tell you can't perform no more. That's crazy. But what I would say in closing, if it do get to that, to where you can't perform, what I want to say to you all out there is that life isn't over. Yes, we know you've been training for this for many years, but life isn't over. It just now we want to see what's the next chapter in your life. And that may just as well be just as great, if not better. So be strong at what you do and be great at what you do. And I wish you all the best. Peace. I love getting out positive content. Subscribe, share, like, and comment. I like to hear from you guys as well. And as I said, on a humorous note, don't beat me up for butchering that generic drug I tried to name, Levarin, whatever it's called. It was a long name. I'm sure most of us can't pronounce it. But like I said, subscribe, share, like, and comment, and take it easy. Peace.